In this episode of Finno-Ugric Machine, we are going to do something about this dividing head body, the casting. At least that one. Maybe the foot as well if we have time. So, what I have already done is that I have separated, moved the paint from here to there. Just a little bit of that. Of course, this should be wire brushed, but at the moment the weather is such that I don't want to go out. It's horizontal slush. It's water that is not snow, not water. It's in between and it's going horizontally. So the weather is really not fun. And so therefore I'm doing. I'm going to get rid of these dovetails, and that's the next thing we are going to dig into. Work holding in this case. Lucky me, this is really easy. This has a flat underside, which is really nice. So I probably can trust on that one. I have chosen the correct fasteners here already. I tried different types. I know the points where I'm going to attach it. So I start with this hole. This is a hole where you drop in the bolts that attach this one into the base. So I'm using this, and then here under a T-nut. I just put it there, and then this is a heavy duty washer, and then I just put one here. So the next thing I will attach this corner again, T-nut here, like that. Then we have one thing like that. That should be the correct place, like there. Some heavy duty washers. These are not the ordinary ones, these are a little bit thicker. Hardware store stuff anyway, but a little bit thicker than normal. So that's one. So then I will put one here, and then the back, I would like to put one here in the back side. And I'm using the bearing surface for attaching, but I'm using a copper plate in between. Okay. Then I just tighten them. This one too. And I believe it's there very, very steady. And the straightness. It really doesn't matter in this case. I'm just taking away these dovetails. Drawbar for it. This is shop made by me. There you are. I really hope that you probably can hear the storm outside there. I really hope this. It's barely, we barely have room there. Oh man. Namely, this table doesn't drop. And this one is also in the. It's usable. Yeah, it is usable. A little bit more. Okay, seems like we have enough room, because I'm going to mill those off in one pass. Oh yeah, this, because I picked these up from my drawer, these are clean. I try to keep these as clean as possible, and sometimes these won't start. why. Now it did. Yeah, we have a few millimeters spare room here. Okay, but that's enough. Spare room is spare room. I really want to use this roughing end mill because I can take it all at once and it doesn't throw the chips everywhere. So now we can see that we have the room there. Oh yeah, we have plenty of room, 5 millimeters. now this operation, the next operation here, is quite purely optical. So I will flatten this surface so that when I use my orbital sander, it should remove all the tool marks from there easily. It should look as it was designed that way. So, there is a lot to do with these surfaces. I need to get rid of all these remaining paint things here. The same this side, we have a lot of them, and especially in this corner here. This is the front side and it's highly visible. So, yeah. Well, it's paint time. The paint I'm using this time is Rostex. This in USA might be equivalent for Rust-Oleum. It's a paint that is quite thick, and it can be painted over. So, let's see now. Did I miss something? Hopefully not too much. Now the paint is not completely dry. This is just, I'm peeling these masking tapes off. Yeah. Wow. This operation here is to set up this foot level. Well, that was easy enough, just two parallels under, and there is this sliding surface for the head itself, so no trouble there. I don't know whether this surface, this that goes against table, is straight. I will check that. Probably also there are a lot of dings. I will take maybe 0.1 millimeter off from that. But what I have been doing here is aligning it straight. And unfortunately I only have these, there has been two keys here. And okay, these are machine surfaces, so I could actually find the original spot on both sides. So now when I go like this back and forth, I have been using this tool and this tool, so that it's now inside 1/100th of a millimeter between these two spots. Well, what can I say? It's as straight as I can put it there, because the next operation is to put a keyway on both sides here in the middle. It doesn't need to be exactly on the middle, because the only thing is that when the keys go into the table slots, this is straight. Okay, so let's start with this one. planing this bottom, and actually I'm taking only 5/100 of a millimeter away from here. This is the overlapping pass. Now I'm going back to here, and then I move to the other side and do that as well. Now this bottom has a super finish. Well, I have to take it, diffuse the setup and then test it, whether it really had an impact. Well, I have no reason to doubt whether it had or not. It had, and yeah, so here we are. Oop. These were the parallels, and now let's clean this one first a little bit. Huh. And then let's try it out. Wow, the sound is promising. It's perfect. No wiggle at all. There was a wiggle. Let's put it another direction and another. Yeah. Ready. Here are the parts. Here is the body, and here is the sematic. So now I will put this together, and well, I will put you in a place that you can see how I put this together. You should always use oil when you are putting things like this together. So, well, you have to know the order of components that come to here in advance. So this is one of the components, but then we need to know, well, this goes, first of all, it goes in. First of all, please do not forget these, oh man, forget those two group screws. If you forget those, you will have to start everything over. So I would like to put some oil into this thing, like that. And then also, yeah, now that has some oil. Not too much, so it becomes really slippery. So it goes into, I have already cleaned everything really well. So you need to put this thing. So when you put this in, put the key in the shaft. You can put it two ways in. Put it in a way that it sits tight in the shaft. This was in the shaft. And then this one goes in. And this is the first one to go in. You put it there. It slides in quite easily, should. Okay, there you are. And then goes this washer, which is going there. There it is. And then the next is the warm gear. Okay. It goes also on the shaft. Like that. Now we have 10 bolts there. Washer, somewhere. There we have it. This kind of thing, which goes here. now after that one. And then we have the bearing, thrust bearing. Oh, this one is a little bit, oh, it shouldn't be tight. Now, these come in pairs. One of them is tight on the shaft and one is loose. The loose one goes against the casting. Let's put some lubrication there. This is a molybdenum grease. Makes everything black. Well, that will do. And then we have the tight one. Goes away from the casting. Now, this is a little bit cumbersome. Okay, there you are. And then the rest of these bearings go there as well. There you are. And now, okay. And now at this point you need a plastic hammer. This won't go easily otherwise. So you just gently hammer it in. Try to find a place where it starts. So once you get it going, see to that you have this screw correctly set for all these like that. Otherwise you could end up binding the system in a very bad way. And then you just hammer the shaft in. The tight bearing will actually make your trip a little bit okay, probably we are good to go now. Still a little bit play in the shaft. Then you can start with these. And now the tight one goes, the loose one goes in there, and the tight one is like facing out. And then you have this thing which goes there over them, and then you have this which goes like that there. And then this one which goes this way. So this is facing the bearing, not this one. This is facing the bearing. So, and then you put it there. And yeah, okay. And now, what I found out that is the easiest way to do this is just to put my wrench here and then start tapping. Oh. Okay. Oh, we still have a little bit of play there. Now we have lost all the play. And now starts the interesting part. You feel how much slop you have. There is still slop, and then you tighten until all the side play has gone from the taper is, this is pulling the taper in. I think this is as far as I dare to go. And now we should have one that is on place. That one is now on place. And now this should be bent from there somehow to lock the nut. And I noticed that these don't like to cooperate very much. Okay, now I got it. This is still giving me a lot of trouble here. Okay, now I think I got it. That's the one I'm aiming here. I try to bend it into the groove. This will lock, yeah, now it's there. This will lock the nut in place. Now it's there. First thing, before I put the dial, there is a group screw which must be put there. It's these a little bit longer ones, I believe. Well, we have this ring which goes around this thing. So how deep would you put it? Not the all way in, but just a tiniest amount off from there. So when you put a group screw again, here, there is a hole for that one. So it shouldn't make any scratching noises. It should just rotate with the thing. And this is what holds this thing in place. And it's a little bit amazing. Now it should, and it's making sound, so it's too near. So I want to have it a little bit away from there. Like that. Now, okay, no more noises. So now I tighten this. It's there, hopefully. And then we have, this will go over that one, and I would like to have some lubrication here. So this goes over here. And this also is not very cooperative. It's so tight fit that doesn't want to go. It's almost there. Now I spread the grease there, and it's amazing. It comes out a lot easier than it goes in. We have a braking system in this one. We have 3 of these and 3 springs there in. Just put into the hole. Look. Like that. So that they don't corrode. That's the reason. And also because these were really corroded. And then the grease will also hold them in place. Oh yeah. A lot of that. But grease doesn't hurt. Lubrication never hurts. Now we have those in place. Then we have, this is actually a brake disc which goes there, like that. And then you have 4 screws which you use to put this into place. So let's check again. Tight. This is like 4-jaw chuck. Tight. Tight. And tight. And there you are. Now, the direct indexing system. It's like this. I make a makeshift handle here. Well, this operates in a way that when you pull it out like this, so then the direct indexing is disabled. And when it's like that, it's enabled. So how you put this in? You put it in enabled position. So you put it into this hole, and then you secure that it is at there. So we put this one in. It's a everyday normal M6 group screw. Okay. Now you don't tighten it yet. There is a thing that this should be there with a spring tension. So you have to push this, not that much, somewhat in. Let's see if that is suitable. Let's lock it temporarily. And now when I pull this out, yeah, it rotates freely. So now when it's there, it's under spring tension. Okay, it's in place. So now let's put the indirect indexing. This was the direct indexing, and the indirect indexing will be our next patient. Then we had this stud sitting in there. It seems to have two sides. One is long, one is short. The short one goes into here. I have already constructed this. Sorry about that. So this one has, what I have done here, I have, first of all, if you can see, there is a new washer in between. I think originally that also, I will point it to you, that one, in that there you have a washer. So originally this probably also had one, because this is hardened, and then we have a hardened part here too. So two hardened surfaces rubbing together, not a very good idea. And then what I did even more, somebody had mutilated this dividing disc so that it had the holes. Originally it has very shallow holes which have a cone on the bottom, so that this will engage properly into those. But somebody had mutilated those so that I found out some of these were like 3 millimeters deep, one was 4 millimeters, then some were shallow, and so on. And then on the other side we had a broken drill bit, and half of the holes were done and half not. Okay, I can imagine what had happened to him. So, the person who did this. This didn't come like that from the factory, I'm pretty sure of that. And then I placed another washer here under, so that this doesn't tighten into the very thin surface they usually do. Now it tightens against the counter nuts, and it's very rigid now. And then of course you can take this off quite easily actually. So now I can show you the nut. So there is a washer in between. This is more like a spacer, and it is leaning against that and not against something else which might not be that good. And then we have all this stuff here on there. And furthermore, I added here oiling nibble. It was missing one. There was the M6 thread, but no oil nibble. So probably it used to have one at some point of its life. Let's see now. And this is really easy to adjust now because of this washer system. It's really easy. Okay, and now we have this. And okay, that's about that. It's pretty normal. When you construct this, you cannot go much wrong. It's very intuitive. It's easy to do. But okay, we need here this adjusting screw goes into here, and then I would like to put some grease into the hole, because I would like to. So this black stuff is always nice to have. There you are. And also to this sliding surface. You have to lubricate this one liberally. It will spread out into the warm gear there. And then you just push this in. And you don't push it, you screw it in. So let's put the nut on place there. We have this locking nut here under on the stud. Oh, 3 starts to bind, not good, a little bit back. I think that's our place. So now I will lock this into this place and retest it again. Okay, why this operation? Well, it's because now when I have this nut tightened, I can tighten my adjusting screw there. Couldn't be worse. Okay, now it's tight. So now, when I lose this, now, when I want to disconnect the worm, I turn it like this. Now it's disconnected. I can rotate this freely. But when I want to connect it, that's the stop we have there. I put it against the stop and we are in the correct place. And this is an easy one. It's this handle goes into here under. We use chemical tightening. So after this it won't drop off by itself. And all these threads are really cleaned and there you are. Now the brake. It's like this, and the intention is that when you open this, it will pull against the shaft inside there and break the thing. So it's very easy thing. Let's put the difficult one first then. Okay, there is a trick in this one. So the brake, you can really tighten it wrong way, but now it's correct, yeah. Well, this is now how it looks inside. And I will show you what happens when you disengage the worm gear. When you turn this, it really disengages. And then you turn it just back and it's okay. So you don't need to turn it all the way around. And then I also noticed that the backslash is mostly coming from the key, which is a little bit sloppy in there. So before we put the foot here, I would like to put some grease here. This is the foot, and this is where it goes, like that. Wow, it's oh yeah. So now, next step would be the screws. And we have 4 of them, only 2 washers. Oh yeah, there is the third. So now this is for 10 millimeter. It's here on the cam. Man, that's And this is for the can. So now, how do we put this in place? There is a hole here under. So when I move this, you can push the screw from there. So it has to come quite high from there. Okay, I believe that's the correct. Now you can turn it. Or then not. Yes, you can. Okay. That was the one, and then we take the next. Okay, now the next. Okay, that's now totally up. And then this last one. Man, it's hot. Oh, it's really hot. Ah. So I ground off a little bit from the edges. It was just too large. There is a threaded hole here. Yeah, now it works. It's so hot. Is this the correct position, hopefully? I believe it's, yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, now this is the hole and this is the cap. So just screw this one in there. Well, the problem with these is that they are not easy to get started. And now just put it there. There you are. Hole capped. Okay, the last step is to oil it. And now the oil holes are a little bit in a stealth mode here. There is one. I just put this against the hole and then there goes the oil. Okay. Hopefully this paint tolerates oil. Should. That was one. And then we have another here. Okay, there you go. Now just squeeze in the oil. Now I squeeze until I feel some resistance in there. There you are. That's done. We have yet another oil hole. It is that one. But that one is easy. I have the correct oil gun for that one. Just put it there and push. There you are. Now we have oil in there. This about concludes this episode of Finno-Ugric machining. So I have successfully, restored. It's not restoration, it's restaurant. It is just making it usable. Well, how it ended up? Really well. This is smooth. It has all the needed divisions I need, and it has a direct indexing, indirect indexing, a very good brake, no axial play. And if it develops axial play, you can always adjust it away. This is stout. Old Russian iron. So, in the next episode of Finno-Ugric machining, we might be making the rotating welding positioner. So that might be in the next episode of Finno-Ugric machining. Till then, see you! See you!